You ever look in the mirror and not recognize the man staring back? Used to be sharp, driven, alive. Now you're tired all the damn time, numb, on edge, second-guessing everything you say and do, and you tell yourself it's just stress, just life, just a rough patch, but deep down you know better. She's not lifting you, she's draining you. You're not building love. You're surviving manipulation. Here's your wake-up call, brother. She's not confused. She's feeding off your strength, and the longer you ignore it, the more of yourself you lose. Wake the hell up. In this video, we're calling out 6 red flags that every man needs to recognize before it's too damn late. The kind that don't just ruin your relationship, but erode your purpose, your peace, and your self-respect from the inside out. This isn't for the guy still making excuses. This is for the man who's ready to reclaim his power, cut the emotional dead weight, and get back to who the hell he's supposed to be. If that's you, hit that like button and drop "no more" drainers in the comments. Say it like you mean it. Number 1. She creates chaos to feel alive. There's a type of woman who can't breathe in stillness, not because she's evil, not because she doesn't love you in her own way, but because chaos is the only language she knows. At first, it feels like passion, that fire, that wild chemistry, the thrill of not knowing what the hell each day is gonna bring. She's spontaneous, intense, full of life. It pulls you in fast, makes you think you found something real, something exciting, but then the cycle starts. The peace becomes too quiet, too steady, too boring. So she stirs the pot. She picks fights out of nowhere, gets cold for no reason, twists your words, then accuses you of not being emotionally available. One moment she's laughing in your arms, the next she's distant, arms crossed, daring you to figure out what you did wrong. And like a lot of men, you fall into the trap. You think, she just needs reassurance. She's testing me. It's been a rough week, I'll be patient. So you adapt, you stop being direct, you soften your edges, you avoid bringing up issues that might trigger her. You start putting out fires she's lighting on purpose, and in the name of love, you become smaller. You think keeping her happy means keeping things calm. But here's the brutal truth. She doesn't want calm. She wants chaos. Because in her mind, chaos cheats connection, conflict into passion. If it's not dramatic, it's not real. So she creates storms just to feel something. And you're stuck living in the wreckage of a woman who can't sit in peace. This isn't a relationship, it's an emotional roller coaster, and that roller coaster doesn't stop. It only speeds up. The more you give, the more she takes. The more you try to fix it, the more broken you feel. And eventually, you start wondering why you're always exhausted, why you don't recognize yourself in the mirror anymore. It's because you're no longer leading your life, you're reacting to hers, and the damage isn't always loud. It's quiet, subtle, a slow erosion of your focus, your ambition, your sense of stability. You're not building anything, you're surviving her emotional weather. But here's the shift. A grounded man doesn't chase fireworks, he builds fire. You weren't made to beg for peace. You were made to build it, to create a life of meaning, direction, and quiet power. And if she sees that as boring, if she can't thrive unless something's burning around her, then she's not a partner. She's a storm. And a storm doesn't need understanding. It needs distance. This is where you reclaim your strength, not by yelling, not by fighting, not by trying to fix her, but by walking with your head high, your standards firm, your spirit intact, because you're not here to be her emotional jungle gym. You're here to build something real, so if she needs chaos to feel alive, let her find it elsewhere, because your fire doesn't need her spark. It burns steady, quiet, strong. And any woman who can't respect that fire was never meant to stand beside it. Number 2, she's always the victim. It starts with a small disagreement, something you think will pass. You bring up something that's been bothering you, calmly, respectfully. And instead of her owning her part or hearing you out, she flips it. Suddenly she's crying, accusing, telling you how attacked she feels, how you never understand her. Now you're the villain in a conversation that was supposed to be about your hurt. So what do? You fold. You drop the issue. You say sorry, not because you're wrong, but because you don't want to see her spiral. You think you're being the mature one, the strong one, the bigger man. But really, what just happened is simple. Your pain got pushed aside so she could play the victim. And it doesn't stop there. Over time, every conflict starts to feel like a trap. Doesn't matter how you bring something up. Doesn't matter how careful you are. Somehow it always ends with her tears, her breakdown, her framing herself as the one who's hurt. So you stop speaking up. You bury your concerns. You tell yourself it's not worth it. You convince yourself that peace means silence. And little by little you stop showing up as a man. You start walking on eggshells. You become hyper-aware of her emotions and completely disconnected from your own. You don't feel heard, you don't feel respected, and you just feel wrong all the time. This is the psychological pattern. When someone refuses accountability, they make you responsible for everything. Every fight, every tension, every unmet need becomes your fault. You start believing that if you just did more, said less, or loved her better, things would be smooth. But you can't win in that game, because she's not looking for resolution, she's looking for control. And in her world, being the victim gives her all the power. It means she never has to apologize, never has to grow, never has to face her own flaws. So you carry the emotional weight for 2. That's not strength, man. That's emotional captivity. Here's the Stoic shift. A real man doesn't tolerate manipulation disguised as fragility. You don't have to be cruel. You don't need to shout, but you do need to stand firm. You need to recognize that false victimhood is one of the most subtle forms of control, and if you don't call it out, it will steal your voice, your power, your peace. A mature partner can say, "Yeah, I messed up. I hear you. I can work on that." An immature one flips it back on you and plays the martyr every time you ask for something real. So you've got 2 choices. You either shrink into silence to protect her ego, or you stand tall in your truth and risk her walking away. And let me tell you something, brother. If your truth drives her away, she was never really with you anyway. You deserve a relationship where your emotions aren't treated like threats, where your boundaries don't trigger breakdowns, where accountability isn't seen as an attack. So stop apologizing for things you didn't do, stop shrinking just to avoid the storm, and stop calling it love when it's really just emotional. Guilt wrapped in lipstick. You want your power back? Call it out or cut it off, because the man who always plays the villain in her story eventually forgets who he really is. Number 3, she weaponizes intimacy. It always starts strong. She's warm, affectionate, all in. Her attention is magnetic. Her touch is healing. And in those early days, you think you found something rare, something real. But then it changes. Not all at once, bit by bit. She stops reaching for your hand, stops leaning into your shoulder. Her voice grows colder. Kisses feel routine. The laughter fades. And when you ask what's wrong, she says, nothing. Gives you that empty smile, the one that doesn't reach her eyes. And here's where most men fall into the trap. You start thinking you did something wrong, that maybe you weren't attentive enough. Maybe you were too busy, too distracted, too blunt. So you try harder. You apologize more. You take on more of the emotional weight. You do things to earn her affection back, like it's some reward you only get when you're being a good boy. You turn into a performer, a pleaser, chasing scraps of closeness just to feel wanted again. But here's what's really happening. She's weaponizing intimacy, and it's one of the most dangerous dynamics a man can fall into, because when love becomes a prize you have to earn, you stop being yourself. You stop leading. You stop living with clarity. You become reactive, controlled, programmed to keep the peace and jump through her hoops just to feel close. That's not connection, that's conditioning. And the worst part? You'll start thinking, that's normal. You'll convince yourself that all relationships go through dry spells, that withholding affection is just a phase. You'll ignore the part of you that feels neglected, and instead work harder to fix something that's not even broken. You're just being emotionally manipulated. And that manipulation, it doesn't show up like a villain. It shows up soft, subtle, disguised as boundaries, as moods, as not being in the right headspace. But what it really is control, because a woman who truly values you doesn't weaponize her body or her warmth. She doesn't use affection to punish. She doesn't give love like a paycheck. She gives it because she wants to, not because you earned it. Here's the Stoic shift, brother. Intimacy is not currency. You don't buy love with obedience. You don't have to tiptoe around someone just to get the bare minimum. You don't sacrifice your standards, your voice, or your peace just to feel close to a woman who's only warm when she's pleased. A healthy woman connects because it's part of who she is, not because you met her invisible checklist that day. So stop performing. Stop begging with your silence. Stop earning what should be freely given, because when you start chasing love like a reward, you stop being the man who can lead it. Stand in your truth. If she withholds affection to control you, she's not a partner. She's a puppeteer. Cut the strings, because a woman who dangles love like a carrot on a stick doesn't deserve a man with the strength to walk away. You're not here to beg for connection. You're here to build it, with someone who meets you in the fire, not someone who keeps the warmth locked behind a wall of conditions. So remember this, if her affection depends on your compliance, she's not loving you, she's managing you. And a man who knows his worth doesn't settle for part-time love. Number 4. She disrespects your mission. There's a moment most men remember, even if they don't say it out loud. You're talking about your dream, something you've been working on quietly, something that lights a fire in your chest. You speak with conviction, eyes locked in, heart beating strong, and she looks at you and laughs, maybe not loud, maybe just a smirk, a shrug, a sarcastic, "Wow, good luck with that." And right then something shifts inside you. You second-guess yourself, just for a second. Then you downplay it. You laugh along. "Yeah, it's probably stupid anyway," you say, just to dodge the sting. That's the moment most men start shrinking. They stop talking about their mission. They stop dreaming out loud. Not because they've lost faith in it, because they've lost faith in how she'll react. And slowly, without even realizing it, you start molding your fire to fit her comfort zone. You skip the late night, grind to be more present. You ease up on your vision to be realistic. You stay small, because every time you try to rise, she pulls you back down with a look, a comment, or that tired-ass phrase, "Just don't forget about me." Here's what's really going on. You're trying to carry your future and her fear at the same damn time, and that weight, it'll break you. Because when a woman doesn't respect your mission, it's not just about her. It's about what she thinks of you. She doesn't see you as a builder. She sees you as a man who should stay in her orbit. And anything that pulls you beyond her emotional reach, that scares her, so she pokes at it or jokes about it, sabotages it softly like it's not a big deal, but it is, because a man without mission is a man without fire. And a man without fire, he's just a shell. Look, I'm not saying every woman needs to worship your grind. I'm saying the woman who truly values you will never mock your purpose. She won't roll her eyes at your late nights. She won't make you feel guilty for aiming high. She'll stand beside you even when it's uncomfortable. And if she can't, she shouldn't be in your life. Simple as that. This isn't about ego. It's about alignment. You can't build an empire with someone who's scared of the damn blueprint. And if you're sacrificing your mission to keep her from feeling insecure, you're not leading anymore. You're begging for peace, begging for her approval, begging to be enough without shining too bright. You want peace, purpose, power. It starts with this. Your mission comes first, period. She can stand beside it, or you leave her behind, because you were not built to make someone else feel safe at the cost of your own destiny, and a woman who disrespects your future doesn't deserve a place in it. So stop negotiating your fire, cut the dead weight, and build like a man who finally remembers who the hell he is. Number 5, she keeps you in competition. It usually starts with a joke. Maybe she compares you to her ex, or says something like, "Well, he always knew what to say." You laugh it off. Try to be the cool guy. Pretend it doesn't bother you, but it does. And it keeps happening. Subtle digs, comparisons to other men. That guy at my job really listens. My friend's boyfriend planned this amazing trip. You know, other men don't forget anniversaries. You keep your face straight, but inside, you feel it. You start working harder, doing more, saying less, bending yourself into someone you're not, just to earn back the look she used to give you, the warmth she used to offer freely. You try to outperform the ghosts of men who don't even matter, and before you know it, you're not building a relationship. You're auditioning for one. That's the trap. You fall into competition mode, thinking that if you just do enough, prove enough, change enough, you'll finally be the one. But real talk, she already made her decision. She just doesn't have the courage to leave, or the maturity to love you the way a real man deserves. She's keeping you in a loop, always one step behind, always needing to do more, be more, prove more. Not because you're not enough, but because keeping you off balance makes her feel powerful. This isn't about love. This is about control. And that control, it's not loud. It doesn't come with yelling or ultimatums. It comes with whispers, with raised eyebrows, with silence when you need support, with passive-aggressive jabs that make you question yourself. That's how she holds power, by keeping you in a constant state of almost good enough, almost loved, almost safe. And if you don't wake up to it, you'll live your life chasing her approval like a dog chasing headlights, never catching it, just running yourself ragged. But here's the Stoic shift. A real one doesn't compete for love. The right woman chooses you, not the you she tries to mold, not the version of you that stays small so she feels tall. She chooses the man you are when you're rooted, clear, grounded, steady. Love isn't something you earn by jumping through emotional hoops. It's something you build with a woman who's all in, not one who keeps you guessing while she claps for other men. So let me tell you something, brother. If she's always measuring you against someone else, she's not your partner. She's your handler. And a man doesn't thrive under management. He thrives under respect. You want to be chosen. Choose yourself first. Choose to stop playing games. Choose to stop chasing someone who only loves you when you perform, because the man who trades his peace for her approval will lose both. You're not here to compete with her past. You're here to lead into the future. So if she keeps comparing, keeps criticizing, keeps dangling love like a trophy, let her watch you walk away. Not in anger, in peace. Because a king doesn't audition for his crown. He either wears it or leaves the room. Number 6, you feel drained, not empowered. You don't notice it all at once. It creeps in slow, quiet. First, you're just tired, more than usual. You brush it off. Work's been busy, life's been hectic. Then you start forgetting things. Small things. You lose your appetite, your drive. You snap more often, or maybe you go silent altogether. But deep down, something's off. Not just in your head, in your chest, in your gut. You're not you, but you keep showing up anyway. Keep trying. Keep loving her harder, thinking that maybe it's just a phase. Maybe if you're more patient, more understanding, more of everything she needs, things will go back to how they were, but they won't. Because this isn't a phase. This is what it feels like to be drained. See, the mistake most men make is they ignore what their body's screaming, because their ego keeps whispering, be strong. So you push through. You justify the exhaustion. You overthink every fight. You question your tone, your words, your worth. You bury your instincts under logic and excuses. You tell yourself she's just going through something, that you need to be more supportive, that maybe, just maybe, you're the one who needs to change. But here's the truth most men don't want to admit. When the wrong woman is in your life, she doesn't just waste your time. She bleeds your energy, not always through chaos. Sometimes it's quiet, subtle, 1,000 small cuts to your spirit, a comment here, a look there. Coldness when you need warmth, distance when you need connection. Her moods shape your mornings, her silence follows you to work. You start managing her emotional weather instead of chasing your own purpose. And that's how you lose yourself. Not in one blow, but piece by piece. Until the man you were, the one who was clear, focused, dangerous with direction, starts fading into a man who's just trying to make it through the day. You don't need a breakdown to wake up. You need the truth. And here it is. Energy doesn't lie. Your body knows before your mind admits it. It knows when something's wrong. It knows when someone's presence takes more than it gives, and it knows when you're holding on to a connection that's quietly killing your spark. The Stoic shift is simple, brother. Choose peace over chemistry every damn time. That instant rush, that magnetic pull you feel with the wrong woman, that's not connection. That's your unhealed wounds grabbing onto familiarity. That's trauma dressed up as passion. It burns hot and fast, and then it leaves you cold and empty. But peace builds. It steadies. It lets you breathe deep. Stand tall and walk forward without tension in your chest. The right woman doesn't leave you guessing. She doesn't make you earn her love by sacrificing your soul. She feeds your energy, not because you beg her to, but because that's who she is. So stop explaining away the exhaustion. Stop calling the heaviness just stress. Stop dying slowly just to keep a woman who was never built to walk beside you in the first place. Let her go, not out of anger, but because you've finally remembered something that matters more than her opinion, her attention, her approval. Your peace is your power. Your energy is your edge. And when you stop giving it to the wrong people, you start becoming the man you were always meant to be. So here's the line. If it costs you your energy, it's too damn expensive. Look, man, by now you know the truth. It's not about blame. It's about boundaries. It's not about hating women. It's about protecting yourself. Because for too long, you've been taught that strength means tolerating everything. That being a good man means carrying her pain, fixing her chaos, shrinking yourself to make her feel safe. But that's not strength. That's self-betrayal. Real strength, it's quiet, it's clear, it's rooted in peace. A king doesn't chase storms. He builds walls around his kingdom. He protects his fire. And when the wrong energy shows up at the gates, he doesn't let it in. No matter how sweet it looks, no matter how soft it sounds, your energy is your power. Your mission is your compass. Your peace is your armor. And when you start guarding that, really guarding that, you become untouchable. You stop performing. You stop bleeding for people who wouldn't hand you a damn Band-Aid. You stop sacrificing your soul just to feel wanted. You stand tall. You stay focused. You lead yourself. Because a man who's grounded in truth, who refuses to be drained, who moves with purpose and calm, that man is dangerous. Not in the loud, reckless way, but in the way that says, I know who I am. I know what I won't allow. And I won't lose myself ever again. So if you're done giving pieces of yourself to people who only take, say it with your chest. Drop no more drainers in the comments. Not just as a comment, but as a vow. A vow to stop bleeding for chaos. A vow to protect your energy. Like your life depends on it, because it does. This is your line in the sand. Now step over it and never look back.